Hello and welcome to the CCAA pre-tournament press conference. Joining us today, we have the head coach of the Cal State San Marcos women's basketball team, Renee Jimenez. Thank you for joining us today, Coach.
Thanks, Danny.
The Cougars grabbed the number 2 seed in the upcoming tournament, and they'll have a first-round bye. So we'll see who their opponent is. They'll play the winner of Cal State LA and Sonoma State. But, Coach, it's good to have you back here. We had this opportunity. You guys were a first-round bye, conference champions last year, so this is a little bit familiar territory. But let's be honest, each season's different. You guys had quite a bit of a different team makeup this year. Talk me through a little bit of your season, and even from what I could tell, it seemed like you guys had a couple of different stages to your season.
Okay, we're still having them, unfortunately. We're still trying to figure it out a little bit, but I just want to start by first congratulating Dominguez on such an incredible year that they had, and what John and Jaleesa have done there is really cool. And just the conference as a whole, I thought was tough, top to bottom. I mean, there's 5 teams out that, didn't get in that could easily have gotten in. I mean, San Bern, Humboldt, San Francisco, Monterey, and Stanley were all super competitive, and it felt like they were in every game this year. And it's a credit to what all the coaches have done post-COVID and coming back. And last year was a little bit different, with rosters being thin, having that year off. And I just think right now, the CCAA women's basketball is probably one of the toughest conferences in the country. I mean, I think we have 5 or 6 teams right now pushing 20-win seasons. And it was a grind all year long. And that made it really tough for us. Speaking just specifically to our group, I think that we have just been in these highs and lows all year, and it's been tough for us to kind of find this rhythm. We still are have not played our best basketball. We joke sometimes that we come in after wins and we feel like we lost. Sometimes our group feels like they're 5-21 instead of 21-4. They take it really hard that there's a standard of basketball that they just haven't quite been able to nail yet. And we're hoping that this week is kind of that week for us where we can really get some momentum going into the conference tournament and going into regionals. So, we're obviously, I'm really proud of the year that they've had. I just think that there's a standard of basketball that they're expecting that they kind of haven't quite pinned it down yet. But they work every day. I mean, I come in every morning, they're in the gym 2 hours before practice, they go to class, they come back, they practice hard. So it's a credit to the work ethic of our group and their resiliency. They've been in a lot of tough games this year, and that's going to prepare us for the conference tournament. It's going to prepare us for the regional.
Is that kind of a reflection of their coach? Is there always that standard of excellence that you're always achieving to and never quite satisfied with?
And I need to be better at that, right? As we all do as coaches. I tell my administration all the time, I go, winning a lot of times for coaches, it's a sigh of relief. It's hard to find joy in winning. And we've kind of had to adjust that even as a staff of just being like, hey, a win's a win. Even if they're ugly, we don't give them back. But I do think there's a level of play that we expect as a program. And we haven't been hitting that. And we're well aware of that. This is not the basketball we're showing is, we know what we're not not what we're capable of consistently. I think you see it in spurts. We go on these big runs offensively. We have these great out spurts defensively. But to find a way to put that together for 40 minutes has been a challenge for us. And that's what we've been continuing to kind of strive through all year. We've been through a lot on and off the court with this team, and they've just been so resilient in so many situations. And to be where we are right now. I mean, we went through the entire conference without a Player of the Week award. We have great balance, and I think that's what makes us really tough too as a team, is you kind of have to pick and choose, what you want to give up. And I think that says a lot about the unselfishness of our group. That's not about, stats and how many shots people are taking. It's no secret we have plenty of kids on this team that can get you double digits every night. We just don't know who it's going to be each night. But when that group is all clicking on all cylinders, that's when we're really scary, and when our defense is really locked in. But again, it's being able to kind of mesh that as quickly as possible, and now we're kind of at a point where all right, this needs to happen. So I think we're feeling that now, and I think we're excited to go in and kind of start a new kind of chapter of our season and kind of see where we go from here.
I don't always want to touch on certain players, but like you kind of talked about two things there. You guys are always working. They're always working to get better. I thought one that really stepped forward for you from junior to senior year was Kelsey Forrester. Seemed like she just worked and became not just an all-conference player, but one of the best players in the conference. Could you just talk to me about what she did for
for sure,
for your program and your team this year?
It's crazy because Kelsey came in unrecruited, a scrawny little freshman who could barely get off the bench. And she's grown into, a 23-year-old young woman who is a leader, who is kind of that, like, comes into the huddles and will grab the clipboard and is like, we're running this, right? And we have plenty of moments this year where that's happened, or she's coming in being like, we're not losing this game. Like, she's that guy. But I think I ever, when she came in at 17, I don't think I ever expected her to be this, and to be such a dominant shooter and scorer and doing things that I actually didn't even know she was going to be capable of doing. And it's been really neat to see kind of her growth as a person, as a leader, and even more as a basketball player, and just kind of how her game has evolved. She's clutch. She hits big shots for us, night in, night out. She's usually typically defended by the best person on the other team. And teams don't make it easy for her. The best thing that I can say about Kelsey is she just wants to win. There's plenty of games this year where there's some really tough defensive opponents we face where it's like, all right, she's just not going to get a shot, right? Or if she does, it's going to be contested. She's not just going to get something easy. And she doesn't care. She does not care. She could care less. If she's out sitting on the bench, I feel her standing behind me as I'm like, okay, you got to sit down, dude. But I can feel her there all the time, regardless of how she's playing, if she's making shots or not. And that's a testament to just like how much she cares about our program, all she's done in her 5 years here. So it's been really neat to kind of see her evolve through that. And similar with Dinah Buckner and what she's done in her career. They both came in as 17-year-old little tiny freshmen, and they've evolved into these all conference players, leaders, all of these types of things. And to watch kind of their growth through the years has been really cool. And Dinah's very similar in that sense. And she started every game for us since she was a freshman. There hasn't been a single game she hasn't started. And I think that's really cool. I'm not typically, someone who's like, oh, freshman, yay. Like usually they make my head spin. But these two, senior night was really hard because of what they've meant over the course of the 5 years to our program.
Great. Thank you so much, Coach. That was great insight into the program. I want to ask you for maybe a little bit more coaching insight onto this one. I can look at the box scores. I can look at the stats I'm seeing right now. Cal State San Marcos, third in scoring, second in offense, all that stuff. But if somebody wasn't just looking at the stats from your team, what would be one of the strengths of your team that doesn't maybe show up in the box score?
I think it's their work outside of what people see. Excuse me. I think it's, the day-to-day, being in the gym in the mornings, like I said, before practice, that means a lot to this group. The work they do outside of the time that they're with us on the court as coaches. I think that's a big piece of it. But I think I've said this a million times before, it's the culture and the standard of our program that I wish people could see more of. The stuff in the locker room, the accountability to one another, just the way that they go about their business and how they carry themselves. But, there's obviously a standard that's it's not easy. We don't make this easy. And they do whatever they're asked, whenever they're asked, without a growl, without an eye roll. They're the kid, they're pulling their own bags off the bus. They're setting out the team meal. Like, they're not given anything. Like we obviously we take good care of them. We treat them well. We want to have a great experience. But they're all in on this and every part of it. I think if you see the shirts we wear before games where it says everything matters, it does. Winning's in the details. And the teams that have bought into that over our time here in San Marcos have hung banners, have gotten beautiful rings. And so I think if the teams that buy into that are rewarded heavily. And that's because they do pay attention to the details. They do believe that everything matters that we do. And that's the biggest thing that doesn't show up on a stat sheet and that people don't get to see in the 40 minutes that they come watch us play.
Oh, that was great, Coach. This was a fantastic insight. Just thank you so much for just sharing a little bit about the Cougars as you guys head into the CCAA tournament. Should be another very fun one. As you said, the number 2 seed. We'll see who you guys play, but you guys will be. I believe you guys are going to be the first game on Friday, correct? So
correct.
You're going to be a 5:30 game on Friday. So
yes,
looking forward to seeing you.
Awesome. Thanks, Danny. Great job. You're doing a good job, man.
Thank you very much, Renee. I appreciate it.
All right. Talk soon.